Okay, so I got the video that I did today converting. I'm going to upload that. And this is February 2nd, the second video. But I'm not going to upload this today. I'm just going to talk about this. Now, I did Google search when the city of Surrey, this is February 2nd of 2025, second video of the day. I did Google city of Surrey. When did city of Surrey stop their annual spring cleanup? 2007. I thought it was around 2007 when they did that, but it was actually in 2004. So here, what we got is the where's my finger? Needless to say, I'm frying out my eyes with this crap real big, fast. Anyway, R178 proposed changes to the Surrey annual spring cleanup. They used to have it prior to 2004 when they changed it because they were having problems with people putting out their stuff out on the road that became overwhelming for the city to clean it up in a timely manner that was affordable. So they had a council meeting, brought the issues in front of the council, and then changed it where they basically took it away and put the onus on the homeowner to get rid of the whatever, because it's various things, right? That comes in at various times throughout the year depending on what's going on. So now I don't see very well these days because this is really hurting my eyes. But we're just going to read a little here of the common issues that they brought to attention. And maybe what I'll do is I did print it out for reference. I did print it out because Delta still has their annual spring cleanup. Mission, Abbotsford, Vancouver, Burnaby, a whole lot of other districts still have their annual cleanups. Surrey has a somewhat annual cleanup. When it was reactivated, how, like for example, you're allowed to phone the city once a year, I think, maybe twice a year, with 2 large item pickups. Like maybe an old washer and dryer. You can put it outside your curb, you can phone up the city, and they'll come pick it up on a specific day, and that's when you put it out. And that's their spring cleanup. And you're only allowed to do that once or twice a year, in terms of major appliances, I suppose. Or a box spring. And if you put a box spring out there, they want it in a box spring plastic cover. Okay? If it's wood, like what they're doing with busting up my compost boxes and my garden boxes and taking my pallets away and taking my weather-worn plywood away, my weather-worn 2x4s, 1x1s, 2x2s, 4x4s, lawn ties, whatever it is, even though they're viable, they're just weather-worn. In other words, you can still use them, but they don't look new. So therefore, because they don't look new, they feel they have the right to take it away at the direction of, if it's not that city dude doing it, telling my son anything that's weather-worn, with the landlady coming in at age 84 on a fucking power trip here, clearly, people, with the encouragement of her family to make her go out in her glory days a tyrant. You know, you go, girl. Sock it to her. Stick it to her good. We're going to make a case against her so that we're going to get her out of that house, and before you die, you will go pick up your rent. You go pick up your rent, and you'll have $5,000 in fucking cash in your pocket at 87 years old, riding off to the bank. Literally. Because you got me out, and you rented upstairs, downstairs at $2,500 a fucking suite, even though it's listed as a single-family occupancy home, which would be illegal to do, to rent out to 2 separate fucking families. But they don't care. because the house is going to be torn down. That's why they don't fix the porch. That's why they've never fixed the porch, because the house is slated to be torn down. But they didn't tell me that until after I fucking moved in and started working in the fucking yard. And then they just left me with it. Right? And used it against me. All right, anyway. So, maybe I will put this up depending on how long this video takes, because, well, my eyes are like fried. I got other things. I got to go hide my food before that gets raided, before that gets fucking robbed. Seriously, people. I can't even go in my yard anymore. What's the point? Breaking up my compost boxes. For what? So raccoons can get into that whatever dropped and shit in it? When it's in a compost box, they're less apt to fucking shit in it. And if they start shitting in it, all I do is put sticks in it so they can't crawl in there and shit in it. So I need those sticks to keep the fucking raccoons from shitting everywhere. Because that's the only thing that stops them from shitting and shit, is sticks. Because they don't like to shit in sticks. So they just opened up the yard for raccoons to shit all over the place. That's it. Well, my son will be screaming at me that the fucking raccoons are shitting everywhere and he's got to clean it up. Oh my God. Okay. Let's just read. This is the issues that they were having problems with before they brought in this, I don't know what it's called, amendment to their annual spring cleanup to save money and put the onus of removing things off the property, I suppose, on the landlord, on the owner, on the homeowner, right? But of course, we got a whole bunch of crooked landlords out here and homeowners. You know, if they're not taking the shit, loading up their own trucks and dumping it off here and dumping due through illegal dumping, they're dumping the costs onto their renters. And that's what's happening. It's being offloaded onto me. They've dumped their responsibility on me. And they know that they've got the city working with them so that they can do it without being held to account to their responsibility as keeping, you know, maintenance on their own yards, people. Okay. All right. Oh my God, it's so hard to see. Let me just, maybe I can copy and maybe I can just turn it to blue. Sometimes if I do that, I can see it better. Let's see. No, oh God, no, I can't even see that. And the font is so small. Okay, few alternatives, oh my God, have been made to the structure of the Cleanup Week event since 1998. So they had spring cleanup since 1998, and then in 2004, they got tired of paying for it. They got tired of cleaning up after nasty-ass, dirty fucking homeowners, regardless of who they are, throwing out everything and anything, even though technically it wasn't supposed to go in that big pile with that week cleanup, right? So they had to do something about it because it just got out of control. It got so bad, people, that they were reporting it on the news. All right, anyway, and I remember advertising, this is why I remember this, right? Advertising the event has also remained consistent over the years. So everybody knew, right? Nevertheless, the event has presented a number of challenges to both engineering staff as well as curbside contractor due to the increasing high number of non-compliant households each year. In summary, 2004 was the most troublesome year yet experienced due to the following: non-conforming households. It's just hard for me to see because the fonts are very small and my eyes are going in and out in terms of blurring and clouding and not focusing, okay? So that's why I'm reading like this. Non-conforming households were observed to have placed large quantities of non-acceptable materials such as household renovation waste, refrigeration, car parts, or hazardous materials, paint, oil, etc. Several thousand households had placed excessive volumes of materials at curbside, far exceeding reasonable levels. When I lived in Wally's house in Delta for those 8 years, I did Delta spring cleanup every year. Okay? These people treat me like I'm a fucking criminal and I'm running a meth lab. Okay? And I'm a junkie while I do it. Yeah. Because otherwise they'd come and they would help me. First of all, they would have helped me to deal with their yard in general when I first moved in. Better yet, the yard should have been in a state where it was easy to maintain before I even moved in, but besides that point, let's just stay focused. Okay. There goes my eyes. In many cases, staff received reports from residents that waste material were being trucked into their neighborhoods from outside sources. And that's true. Because people in general are fucking crooked. Right? So in other words, right? Okay, you know, you don't live in Surrey, you're coming in from Burnaby, and it's worth your time driving all the way to Surrey to drop off your junk in a fucking garbage pile. As a matter of fact, I did that with Manpreet when I lived in that fourplex with her moldy freaking dresser that she had in the in the laundry room. It was so moldy that it was disgusting, and I didn't know what to do with it, people. So I loaded it up. It was all rotten, moldy, wet, smelly shit in the laundry room in that fourplex. They put it there up against the wall in the laundry room because they had the fucking grow up on the other side of the laundry room. That's the only reason they put it there, is so I wouldn't have smelled the grow up. And then they came back. I dropped it off in I loaded up my car, put it in the trunk, pulled out the drawers. Everything was molded inside. It was just garbage. So I put it in my trunk, went to Delta Spring Cleanup, dropped off the fucking drawers, whatever, loaded up what I wanted from that pile, or whatever pile, brought home back some shit to do fucking repairs for her stupid shit. And then she showed up that night with her fucking somebody and showed me that she went and got it and brought it back. And said it was her moldy fucking drawers and she wanted them back in the laundry room. This is before I found out they had a grow up behind the fucking wall. And she did. She put it back. So they were spying on me. So not only did we have Bobby on the roof looking down the vent, watching people take a pee or whatever they were doing on the freaking toilet, they were stealing my fucking hydro to run their grow op as they were spying on us in the house with their freaking cameras and shit. So yeah, that happens. Right? And placed indiscriminately at a household curbside, or done so purposely through arrangements with the property owner, e.g., allowing friends or relatives of outside the neighborhoods or jurisdiction to dispose additional waste at curbside. So yeah, you got a bunch of fucking Punjabis wanting to save a bunch of fucking money. Sure, we got annual spring cleanup, just bring it over here. And when the city of Surrey took it over and said, no, that's it, you can't do that no more, Punjabis. What did they do? They just made the Punjabis come after the fucking tenants to make us pay for it and do all their fucking work for them. And then they got crooked and they bound it together as a freaking criminal organization and they became gang stalkers. As they're finding innocent people, making them pay for something that technically, we should be able to do something. And if we can, my landlord should be helping me with this, not mistreating me over this stupid shit, people. Always playing the old card. Oh, we're too old to help you in the yard, Miss Judy. You have to do it for yourself. Oh, well, a drainage problem, that's not our problem. That's you figure it out. We're too old. Portia's leak. Oh, well, we can't help you with that. You don't live outside. We're too old. But she's not too old to go around fucking terrorizing me and killing half my fucking family, what's left of it, killing us off, throwing us out on the fucking streets, laughing. Making me pay. Making my son fucking, what, have a heart attack in the fucking snow? Working 2 jobs? Leave the house at 6 o'clock in the morning to go work his regular fucking job, which is basically outside, to come home at 4:30 to work for Mrs. Gill for the rest of the fucking day? All day Saturday, all day Sunday? And then come back with another fucking bin because the city of Surrey doesn't want to provide us annual spring cleanup because they don't want the Punjabis coming in with their fucking family members dropping off more junk? But yet they'll partner up with the Punjabis to go after the poor people. Staff faced high instances of raw scattered garbage originating from uncontained garbage that was placed at curbside by the dwelling. Unless, of course, you got a Punjabi that's running a fucking grow-op in their rental and like their smelly, moldy dressers in the laundry room so they can cover up the smell of the fucking grow-op. Well, hell no. In that case, they're going to do a beeline back to fucking Delta, pick up their fucking dresser full of moldy this and moldy and wet and saturated that, and then go and knock on the door of their tenant and let the tenant know that they can't take the moldy fucking dresser out of the laundry room because it belongs to them. And they put it back. And then we wonder why I almost got electrocuted in the fucking laundry room. Because they were running their shoddy fucking wiring and piping through the walls to run their little grow-up with their smelly, moldy fucking, what is that called, dresser, to hide the smell as they were stealing my hydro and spying on people that were sitting on a fucking toilet, for crying out loud, through the vent up on the ceiling. How are the people that I'm dealing with any more different than those ones that I came from before I fucking landed in this stupid house? They're no different. They go to the same temple. They think the same. Very negative image appearance of the city due to all the waste material left at the side of the roads, because the news was reporting on it with piles and piles and piles and piles of shit in front of fucking houses. And the city couldn't cope with it, so they took it away. And then they started to go after the tenants for the landlord's responsibility to keep their yards clean. And once the fucking landlords knew that they could offload and use yards against their tenants, to power trip, to gang stalk, to harass, to terrorize, to threaten, to intimidate, to evict, to abuse for various reasons. Profit, ego, because you know my landlord's just fucking going with the ego on this one. I mean, who wouldn't at 84 years old? Running off with a big wad of fucking money in your fucking purse, go to the bank acting like you're some rich bitch as you go back and abuse a blind woman and her son and her grandkids so that you can get even more fucking richer and go running a Vasaki parade with the rest of your people who are like her and make the poor people pay. Because that's what happened when they took this away. Instead of making the landlords pay, they only make it look like the landlords pay people. My landlord has not paid one red fucking cent for this yard since I've been in this yard. Okay? The city comes, oh, if you don't do this by da-da-da-da-da, you're going to get a $15,000 fine. My landlord, oh, they're going to fine me $15,000. You need to get out there and do it now. So, of course, you work however long you work for until you're fucking blue in the face and half dead. And then they might let you come in and, well, crawl in and recuperate until the next time. But, there, you know, there's always going to be a next time because it's never, like I said, it's either too gray, too fucking green, can't park your car here, right? Let's just rip up everything that you worked on in the last 4 years, rip it all fucking up, expect you to go out there and, you know, be a 10-man crew, put everything back within fucking months, and if it can't be put back in fucking months, even though it took 4 years to build it, it took 4 fucking years to do the front yard, it took 1 day to rip it up, and it wasn't a year later before they came back in and started the bullshit all over again. Because I wasn't a 10-man crew to put back what they fucking ripped up. Because they left me nothing but sand, gravel rocks, cat shit, and fucking raccoon shit, and fucking morning glory and weeds. And called that a fucking a parking lot. Only they forgot to pour the cement. That's all. That's why I'm going to wash my hands of this yard. The way I see it, I've been jailed. I'm not allowed in the yard anymore. Hell no. You took everything away from me. Get rid of everything. And you keep coming back, and you keep pointing at this, that, and everything. And you came back with a second bin to make sure that my son is getting rid of everything. So that tells me I am not allowed in this yard anymore. She has imprisoned me inside her house. And anything that remains after the fact is a lost cause. In other words, I'm going to write it off and tally up my total fucking loss since I've moved into this house. Being that she's banned me from the fucking yard and made it where I really can't do anything, never mind in peace. Because anything that I would do from this point forward would be to what? Not get evicted? Oh, yeah, okay. No, you've already locked me inside the house, okay? You didn't need my son to fucking lock me in the house. They locked me in the fucking house. As they're pointing fingers. Well, it's the city that's saying it. No, it's it's the landlord that's saying it. No, it's your son that's fucking doing it. Right? But they're all saying it. As if my son wants to be working out there fucking freezing his ass off after being outside all day paying fucking taxes. Paying his taxes. And he already works with the city when he's cutting trees on different job sites. So it's not like he doesn't know what he's working with. That's why he gets mad at me. Well, do you work with the city? Well, yeah, I have. I've worked with them in this yard. Well, not like me. Well, you're right. Not like you, Marcane. But at the end of the day, this is a different kind of fucking turf here. Okay? This is a manjeet or a manpreet or whatever, some kind of man somebody, where they like their moldy fucking dressers in their fucking shady fucking laundry rooms with shady fucking wiring, with shady fucking water pipes. Well, they're not even fucking pipes. It's those little plastic things that they can Mickey Mouse this and Mickey Mouse that as they're running their fucking grow-ops, their meth labs, or whatever the fuck, their shacks, or what, who knows, to hide the smell. And it goes from house to house to house. Well, the city covers it up. They allowed Manjeet or Manpreet, because I don't even remember her fucking name anymore. Okay, they allowed them to remove the grow-op, even though they discovered it, because they didn't want to charge the landlord for running an illegal grow-op. Because they're in bed with each other, people. Just like they ran that fucking shack next door. For over a year and a half. For over a year and a half. I was in that fucking yard next door when that was a fucking crack shack doing the yard for the landlord. Because of the fucking morning glory, trying to control it so it wouldn't come into my side of the yard. Now, they got those immigrants over there, and they got those kids out there working for free. Yeah. Pulling morning glory. That's what they want in this house. Another family moving in, full of fucking energy, happy to be in Canada, paying $2,500 for top, $2,500 for fucking bottom, with everybody in the yard fucking weeding for them, for free. Yeah. In an effort to minimize, oh my lord, the above occurrences, engineering and bylaw enforcement staff had combined efforts in delivering advisories to non-compliant households, directing that homeowner remove materials from their curbside or be faced with the full cost of the removal by city forces. So the crooks got caught, and the city tried to hold them to account for inviting all their family members to bring their garbage to their house, being that it was free pickup. Didn't matter what the garbage was, it was free. So you know, all the family members packed up their beautiful, nice, shiny fucking vehicles and speeded on off to Surrey and dumped their garbage. Unless, of course, they needed it to hide a fucking grow-op, and they had to, oops, no, we don't want to leave that there. We need to bring that back to our rental property, because we got to hide our fucking grow-op as we're stealing our tenants' fucking hydros. Why doesn't the city do something about that instead of just covering up what these fucking bastards do? Because that's what the city did when they turned off the fucking power at the pole at that fourplex and left Joan, elderly people with, young kids and everybody else in the house, and the next door with her kids and everybody else fucking freeze for 12 to 14 days in October as the power was cut off at the pole. Because they were covering up the fact that the owner who drove a fucking Hummer, right, rolling up at 4 o'clock in the morning to give their Bobby, the one that liked to climb the roof and look down the vent into the bathroom as people were on the toilet, right, his heroin fix. Yeah. In other words, they weren't just fucking dealing with what is that called? Marijuana. They weren't just running a marijuana grow-op in a shed connected to a laundry room with a smelly, moldy dresser. They were fucking wheeling and dealing in heroin, people. Did the city do anything about that? No. Did the city do anything about the fucking crack shack for a year and a half? No. Did the city fucking make sure that homeowner next door bust out all his fucking drywall before the new tenants moved in? No. You know how I know that? I've told you before. Because the Koreans that lived there, they had a special kind of wallpaper on the paint on their walls. After they cleared out and moved, and they got rid of the crack shack, right? The walls were the same. They never changed the drywall. So those Syrian people moved their children into a crack shack where the walls were saturated with methamphetamine, crack, and heroin smoke. And they still live with that till this day. However, given the excessive number of non-compliant households evident throughout the city, only households that were in blatant non-compliance received advisories in this regard. The majority of these households complied with the city orders. Rise in citizen complaints. 2004. The number of complaints received from the residents during the 2004 annual reuse week and cleanup week far surpassed complaints from previous years' events. These complaints, criticisms, were delivered by citizens via letters, newspaper, I told you, TV, as well as negative newspaper articles regarding the event. It was also on the local news on TV. The most common criticism voiced by Surrey citizens were related to street sanitation concerns, including potential health issues and the negative image that the cleanup... Oh, you can complain about that, but you're expected to live with a half a yard of fucking sand full of cat shit with the wind blowing and raccoon shit. Oh, okay. Welcome to my world. That's hygienic. Right? Image that the cleanup... Oh, my fingers are getting numb. Okay, bring to the city. The criticism were supported by evidence of excessive volumes of materials and or raw garbage placed at curbside. Yeah, well, busting up compost boxes, right, that creates dirt to feed landfill to make nice dirt so that you actually have some kind of dirt to be able to grow something on this property besides landfill, okay, right? I had to take landfill to make dirt with it, all right? My son, he goes out there, he grabs a big tarp, he runs around, chop, 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 he throws everything in the tarp, he folds it all up, and he walks off with it. Don't ask me what he does with it. I don't know, but he's strong. That's the way he does it. I didn't have that option. All I knew is I had 50 fucking bags, yard waste bags, big ones, every year, for years and years, because of morning glory. Nothing but morning glory. Well, the rest of the yard waste, I guess you could say, when it comes to weeds, quote unquote, I had to build compost boxes. And with compost boxes came the ability to make dirt, to replenish landfill, to make dirt so that flowers could grow. And now my landlord's got my son out there killing all the flowers, whether he's digging them up or throwing them out by emptying out planter pots. And he's killing trees by chopping them down. When he's not pruning the other trees for her to make it look nice. As she keeps coming back saying, oops, you forgot this, get rid of this. Oops, you forgot that, get rid of this. Oops, no, I want that. I said everything. Get rid of everything. With the city coming in, reinforcing anything that looks weather-worn. including good plywood that could be used for something in the spring or summer. Because now you're expected to buy it new and paint it at your cost because you don't pay enough rent. It's not the landlord's responsibility because they're old and their sons are disabled. Must be disabled. It's not that they're busy. They're disabled. And the city will charge you for that if you don't do it. And the landlords, they know this. And that's why it becomes a criminal organization. Because in 2004, they were already conspiring between the two that binded together to make profit off the backs of vulnerable people when it comes to renters. Because City of Surrey had a lot of rentals. Because it was the cheapest jurisdiction in the province when it came to purchasing housing. And that's why the majority of houses out here are owned by fucking Punjabis. Because they bought them in 1992, 1980, right? You know what I'm saying? Like this one. My landlords bought this one in 1992. You had since 1992 to do something with this yard, and you didn't do a damn thing. Otherwise, whatever we're going through now wouldn't even be a fucking issue. I had better things to do with my life than to be in the mud. In raccoon shit. In fucking weeds. In fucking landfill. In a fucking sand pit. In a fucking gravel pit. Okay? I had a lot better things to do. But I didn't have a choice. And then I got stuck. And I got trapped. Just like I'm now trapped inside this house. Because my landlord took the yard away from me and everything else in it. But yet, still has the audacity to hold it against me and says that if my son can't fucking make it look perfect, we're getting evicted. You see, they have to evict me in order to evict him. If they evict him, I'm still upstairs. But if they evict me from the house, then they get to evict the basement because I rented it as a single family occupancy home. Not a Mickey Mouse chop it up into 4 different little suites so they can get $6,000 a month. Kind of like running a little fucking grow-op on the property. Just don't let nobody know. Put an old, moldy, smelly dresser in front of the door and nobody's going to want to peek inside and see what's going on. Do you see what I'm saying? Next door is a single family occupancy resident, but they've already chopped it up into 2 suites with the Syrians upstairs and the UN soldiers downstairs. Okay? 2 separate households. Illegal suites. The one next over here, when I moved in, it was a grow-up in the basement. I know that for a fact. Anyway, the dude sold the house to some mean-ass dude. And then he cleared out the basement of the grow-op. And he built 3 little suites in the basement. So he's got 3 different independent little suites that he charges 3 different fucking households, maximum dollar amount, as well as the upstairs suite. That's 4 independent households in a single family occupancy house. Right? City does nothing about that. We're here, it's always been me with my family. So yeah, what better way to get rid of the family if you can't kick them out is have them die off one here, Die off another one there. Die off another one there. But you see, it's not going fast enough. Fuck no. Right? So they got to pull this little shenanigan and then say, and I'm going to leave this, okay? Maybe we'll read this more later on, okay? Where I've been evicted from the yard. Everything that I own has been taken away from me. I'm not allowed to do anything out there, although if it doesn't get done to their satisfaction, whatever the fuck is going to be done out there, with the full onus on my son now, I'm the first person they're going to evict. Because I didn't make sure that my son went out there and did whatever it was that they want him to do, even though I'm not allowed out in the yard. And because they can evict me, they can evict him because he's my son, part of the family. And then they get the whole house, and that's where they're going to Mickey Mouse, break it up, and make $5,000 off of it until they finally tear it fucking down. Yeah. And that's why they keep attacking me. That's why my kids are dead. That's why there's energy weapons going through my house. How did you know I took that moldy fucking dresser with rotten, smelly, wet... God, I didn't even look at it. It was just like newspaper and garbage. It was like gross. But it served its purpose. It hid the grow-op. How did you know I took it to Delta and dropped it off and came back with some material so that I could work in your fucking porch and fix your porch and whatever it was that I was doing there? Because they had spyware in the house, people. That's why they were spying on us. Just like they had Bobby up on the fucking roof looking down the fucking, you know, the vent in the bathroom. You know those vents? The fan? The fan didn't work. But you could see, because he used to go up on the roof all the time. Couldn't figure it out. And then I dawned on me. He was spying on people while they were sitting on the fucking toilet. Because he was a heroin addict. And that's what they let him do. As they were running their little grow-op, expecting us to live with their moldy fucking dresser. And then they had the audacity to drive to Delta, go pick up their fucking... because they followed me. They followed me. And then they picked it up, and then they brought it back. And they knocked on my door, and they had it in their hands and told me not to ever touch it again because it fucking belonged to them. I said, you gotta be kidding me. That thing stinks. It's rotten. Everything's rotten. But I didn't know that they were running a grow-op. So it would make sense that they want it there, because we would have smelt it. But God speaks in mysterious ways. I almost got electrocuted. So much so that it did provoke me to phone the city to find out what the fuck was going on, because I was scared to do anything in that house after that happened, with the water shooting into the dryer as the dryer was on, because their Mickey Mouse fucking pipes split in half and was spraying water into a moving dryer. And then that's when the city discovered that everything was wired wrong. Nothing was grounded. The house wasn't grounded. The fourplex was not grounded. Pipes were not, those plastic things weren't where they were supposed to be. And something was going funky on in that little shed. Huh. But the city also gave them time to clear it out. Yeah. Because I seen the dude fucking load up the big blue water drums at 4 o'clock in the morning. The heroin addicted fucking electrician. Yeah. Clearing out their little fucking moldy shed with their grow-op equipment, with the big blue water drums and all this other shit. 4 o'clock in the morning, because he was rattling around out there. I looked outside, and he had his truck out there loading out that shit from that shed. And the city allowed that to happen. And then when the power got shut off at the pole for 12 fucking days, city allowed that to happen too, because they're the ones that fucking shut it off. Yeah. And then I had to go to the mayor's and fight to get it turned on, because John and Joan were freezing by this time. And they were in their 70s. Yeah. Late 60s. Yeah. Elderly. Sick. Joan was sick. She came over sick. Yeah. This is what you're dealing with, a criminal organization. They go from house to house. They attack tenants. They make tenants pay for something that should be a public service. And if the city is going to take away the public service, then the least they can do is get the landlords to work with the fucking tenant, where it doesn't get to this point where, well, you see, they need the house, though. They need the house for the immigrants to make the fucking money. That's what they need the house for. They need the house not only to house the immigrants, so the city can get the perks from the province to house the immigrants that are coming in, but they also need the house, they also need the house to maximize their dollar amount in terms of they can get $2,500 up, $2,500 down. Easy peasy, especially with what's going to be left after my landlord evicted me from the yard. Yeah.
Okay, hi people, so it's me this time. I came over here to see what's in the bin. Huh. Well, that's a piece of something. Careful, my nails. What's this? Here, just... Well, I think I'm gonna know where you go to. But yeah. Just a lot of wood. Well, except for you, you're not a piece of wood yet. Are you a piece of wood? What are you? Hey, what are you? Okay, just random stuff. A bag. Mickey the Gardener cat. But yeah, this really sucks. I'm just gonna get the better spot right over here. Well, honestly, actually no. Because honestly, I can go outside the bin. No one really cares. It's at the property, so we can go in if we want. But yeah, this really sucks because what's it called? It's starting to snow again. Okay. Because we could use this wood for stuff that we need. I don't really want to know what that wood piece goes to, but like. But yeah, because we could have used this, Judy and me, we could really use some of this wood for our fort that we're working on. So it sucks. Yeah, I'll show you let's go to the back and see what's going on over there. Yeah, dude. Gotta go over there. So. Huh. So there was a whole bunch of metal here, but now it's gone. Piece of glass there. What's going on over here today? Where was Ricky go? Here. Yeah, so this table, cleared it off, cleaned it. Anyway. Well, figured out where some stuff went. Okay, so now we know where he got all that stuff. Got it from basically the side. He cut from the side here. Okay, Pennywise. But yeah, it really looks like Marcane just cleared out everything. Which honestly, I do not like. Because, yeah, really sucks. What are you doing on this side? What's he gonna do with this? Huh? Yeah, that looks like really all he did. Just threw a whole bunch of wood on the side and metal. Which is really good still too. So, yeah. Well, that's it. Bye. See ya.
Okay, people. I'm going mad, as in insane here. Because I have so many hands to play in terms of too many cards to choose from, and I don't know what's the right hand to play, other than I know I have to have more than one hand. We know I have to write the survey and go talk to those people that are losing their housing soon. Within the next 6 months or in around that time. Maybe sooner, maybe a little later, but it's coming. Because my neighbor told me that the city of Surrey bylaw officers were already banging on her door, wanting to go into her pristine backyard, looking for trees to cut down because of property development. In other words, that Chinese owner that owns her house and the other 6 or 7 houses in a row is kicking everybody out with 2 suites per house. So 12 to 14 households are being thrown out soon with really no place to go. That's what I'm facing here, okay, people? Only my landlords are coming in on a different door. They're coming in through some sort of creaky back door that's completely shady, and you know what I'm saying? So, now that's one card, and it's not really a card. It's just a survey, right? To document that it's happening. Versus, oh, Judy took it to court, and she's saying this, and this. Clearly she's delusional. There's nothing there to back it up that those people got evicted. We just ignore the fact of what's going on around us. We pretend like it's not happening and accuse everybody of being frivolous, scandalous, and the waste of the court's time if they're not delusional. All right. So anyway, my other card is I can think about a civil lawsuit in the provincial court. Okay? A civil lawsuit in the provincial court is a maximum of $50,000. Whatever you're suing for. You can't go no more than, it used to be $25,000, but they increased it to $50,000. But that's provincial. If you take it to the Supreme Court, then you can ask for $300,000 for your time, whatever it is that you feel that you're owed for your time, as well as for personal injury and that kind of stuff. Loss of this, loss of that, just whatever, right? So those are other cards I can think about, right? And then with each hand that you play comes in different players, I would think, right? Depending on how you play your cards. Because if I do this survey and it really kind of seems like people are interested and they're desperate and they don't know what to do, and they're scared, which I'm sure they will be. You know, I mean, in a year from now, you never know, people. If I put my mind to it, and I don't know, I don't know, people. I might be out of this house. I might be fucking homeless, like, seriously. Like, this shit that my landlord's doing right now, like, Andre went to the bin. He looked inside there, and he told me that Marcane took the stuff from the side of the house. I know he was trying to leave it there. He was, because he knows, right? There's little things that need to be done around here, and we can't afford to be buying new shit, people. And I guess the landlord told him to get rid of it. As the city's saying, anything weather worn. That's bullshit. It's bullshit. I'm not going to go off and buy new wood, people. I'm not going to spend $40 for a piece of plywood to fix something, to be evicted anyway. can't afford it. Hell, I'm not even buying groceries this month. I gave her an extra $300 this month, people, on top of what I normally give her for rent. $250 for the bin, the extra $50 in rent, and then my son threw in an extra $50 in rent. So she got like $350 extra out of us as they're stacking and packing on ice, frozen goods, and making us pay for that. As they're taking it out of here, telling me I can't go in the yard anymore, I can't do anything, but if the yard just goes to pots, I'm the first one to be thrown out. Because then they can throw out my son. They can't throw out my son, people, without throwing out me. Because my son was a dependent when he moved in with me. I'm the leaseholder. My son is still considered to be kind of like a dependent. That's why they're trying to evict me and not my son. You can't evict a half a house. You can't kick out the son because you want the basement and then make the mother upstairs pay the full rent that the son and the mother were paying, as they're now charging the same amount downstairs. That would definitely get tossed out of court. But you can kick out the mother and then tell the son to get the fuck out. That's the ploy that they're trying to use. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe I should call Acorn and ask them if they've ever come into a situation like this with all the people being kicked out of their houses. And if they're familiar with this tactic, because it's just another tactic. That's all it is, people. As they're throwing out perfectly good wood that's been dry and hasn't been saturated with water, that would be fine for the minor repairs that I need to do. Well, whatever repairs I need to do. Right? Whether I do it or my son does it or Andre and Jude do it, the point is they need to be done. But I'm not, I gave her, I can't, look, she's going to charge me $1,000 for this fucking bin and then try and charge my son $1,000 with this fucking bin when a third of it's frozen water. Right? So I'm going to phone up the Landlords and Tenancy Act branch and I'm just going to make inquiries. But I don't trust the person on the other end to be completely truthful in regards to the information that they give me. Because you also have to remember when you're being gang stalked like this, your telephone calls get intercepted. Right? So who you think you're talking to isn't necessarily who you think you're talking to, because the phone call was intercepted by the collective group that has their sights on you and who are targeting you. So they give you misinformation on purpose. They make you think one thing and you end up doing that one thing and it comes back and it blows up in your face because it wasn't supposed to be done that way. Or they're just collecting information on you so they can go put it in their file and figure out how to work around it. Like, this is the way it goes. But I'm going to call them anyway. I'm going to let them know that what my landlord is doing. She evicted me from my yard after working in it for 14 years. I went blind from working in her yard for years and years and years and years and years, as she used the city against me by neglecting her responsibility as a landlord, right? And now she's doing what she's doing now, but still holding the yard as my responsibility, but taking all my fucking tools away from me, taking all my belongings away from me, taking all my material away from me, making me pay for it at double the cost because of the wait, because she couldn't be decent enough to do it in the fucking spring or summer. She had to wait until the middle of winter when everything was saturated and frozen. Right? And I'm going to ask him, what can I do? Any suggestions? Where do I look in legislation? And what legislation do I look at? Right? And the same thing with Acorn. I don't expect much help from Acorn either, but I'm going to phone them up just to see if they've heard this tactic. Heard of anybody else being treated this way. And what did they do? Okay? So in the meantime, now I'm burning my eyes out even more. And I'm trying to see what kind of services are available for immigrants as they're coming in to Surrey. Whether they're 10,000 Syrian being funneled in, like in 2016, on the order of the provincial government of British Columbia, Canada. In other words, the provincial government of British Columbia, Canada told the city of Surrey that at this particular time in 2016, you have to find housing for 16,000 Syrians coming in off the boat. That was in 2016. And they keep bringing them in. They cater to Mandarin people, which is like Chinese, Hindus and Punjabis, mainly those two groups from India, Mandarins from China, Arabic from Syria and places like that. There was another one there that I didn't know how to pronounce, and I'm not even sure what type of religion or ethnic group it is, but it was like a language. Taga, T-A-G-A, Taga something. I don't know, maybe African. Maybe it was an African language or something. Yeah. And they have workshops for them in Surrey through the rec centers to set them up with services so that those services can help them find housing and all that crap, employment or whatever. But usually when they're coming in, it's like my neighbors next door that came from Syria. The federal government tells them they can't work for a year. They can't do shit. All they do is plug them into each and every possible provincial, federal, and municipal subsidy program. Plug them into housing ASAP, and they make the city kind of be responsible for that. All right? So anyway, I'm not finding what I'm looking for, but I'm finding things. I'm not looking forward to spending hundreds of dollars on paper and ink again. But I find I work better if I have a hard copy. Yeah, as if I want to start stacking and packing fucking legislation and reports from the city of Surrey and or whatever, but I can't just sit here and wait for them to kill me. Because they're sure in all hell not fucking helping me here. No. Throw me out in the streets. Don't expect the government to clean me up and look after me. Hell no. It's not going to be like that. They know it. And if it is, for how long? And where are they going to put me? In a mental institution? After my landlords drove me mad? Like literally as insane? Okay. So in the meantime, I'm reading this Surrey housing profile that goes as far back as 2018 when they wrote it, which is completely different in terms of sign of the times compared to 2025. Now this would have been 2 years after they brought the 16,000 Syrians into Surrey in one pop at the order of the province. And you know that they've brought in a whole bunch of Mandarin Chinese people, a whole bunch of Punjabis and Hindus into Surrey since then, and a whole bunch of other Arabic ethnic groups, whether Afghanistan and all of that, from those Iranian, a lot of Iranians came here as well. So that would be Arabic, I would think. Right? It says, Many Surrey renters. Here they're being very generic, right? But anyway, many Surrey renters are living in unaffordable and crowded housing. Renter household medium incomes are considerably lower than owner household incomes. 47,965 compared to 92,614 in 2016. Despite relatively lower rents in Surrey, compared to the rest of the Metro Vancouver, 34% of renters in Surrey were in core housing need in 2016. Surrey's, it's my eyes, people. This will make me go blind. Everything my landlord was hoping for. Yeah, for sure. Then they can justify what they're doing, right? Surrey's overcrowding rate for renter households at 18%, this was in 2018 when they published this, is higher than the regional average of 12% from 2016. So is this 18% from 2016 or 2018? I don't know. Okay, pressure on renter households are increasing. As in the rest of the region, rents in Surrey are increasing and vacancy rates decreasing. This was 2018. Listen to this. Average rents for purpose-built apartments, Gateway Place, where I lived in 2008, before I moved into that fourplex in 2009, my rent was $840 for a 3-bedroom apartment. Okay? Here they've got it at $804. They don't tell you how many bedrooms, but when I left that place, the rent was $840, something like that, for the 3-bedroom apartment in 2009. So they've got this fairly right? Because it said 2000, okay? So, and I rented it in 2008, and I left December of 2008 at $840, something like that, right? And then, yeah. So, okay, so the vacancy rate in Surrey, well, no, we want to go back up here. Rents in Surrey are increasing and vacancy rates decreasing. Average rents for purpose-built apartments increased from $804 in 2009, which sounds right to me because I have a base to touch on terms of where I was living and what I was paying before I moved into that nightmare fourplex, to $1,079 in 2018. All right. Well, and remember, then they stopped. So do they have another report, or is this the only report that they have? So far, this is the only report that I can find. So it's almost like I'd have to print it out, go to City Hall, go to their office, wherever, city clerk or whatever, show them this report, and then ask them for the more recent one. And if they haven't done one since 2018, because they're too busy tearing down houses, throwing people out onto the streets after their bylaw officers stalk them and terrorize them and criminalize them, right? You know what I'm saying? So they can throw everybody out on the street and build unaffordable housing, except for maybe only immigrants that can afford to rent it through those subsidies, or a foreigner that's rich. Because there's only so many people that can afford it, people. Right? Otherwise, they sit empty. So we can say the 3-bedroom apartment in 2018, based on what they're saying here, for the same apartment in 2009, jumped up to $1,079 compared to $804, which isn't a very big leap. But that same apartment today is now renting for $2,700 or $2,800 the last time I checked. With it being slated now to be tore down. And when they tear down Gateway Place, now I don't know if Gateway Place is slated to be tore down, but something like 400 apartment buildings in the city of Surrey. Since the last time I did an event with Acorn up by City Hall just a few months ago, when they were tearing down the Regency or Elizabeth Manor and throwing out all those people, where City Hall had their open public meeting in the courtyard and didn't let the people go inside to the chambers. Okay? It was stated that 400 other apartment buildings, the older apartment buildings, are all slated to be tore down, with all those people being evicted, with no place to go because nothing is affordable. Because they're already in the poorest buildings available in Surrey. Except for the corruption with the money grab has overinflated the rental cost, where they're like $2,700, $2,800, $2,900 for the same mouse, cockroach, bed bug, freaking infested apartment building that I was paying for $840 in 2008 before I left. And even then, rent only went up to $1,079 by 2018. So you can take from 2018, right? So we'll take it to the end. So 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So within 6 years, the rent for that apartment that I was paying $840 for in 2008 of December, and then went as high as $1,079 by the end of 2018. Within 6 years, that rent has almost tripled, with the building more than likely being one of those 400 buildings slated to be demolished so they can build their luxury condos and call that good business as they kick out everybody out into the fucking streets where nobody can afford shit. The vacancy rate in Surrey, and this was 2018 because this is when this was written, is 0.4%, and that was in 2017. After they brought in 16,000 Syrians from Syria, all in one pop, as well as a whole bunch of Punjabis moving in, a whole bunch of Hindus moving in, a whole bunch of Chinese Mandarin speaking people moved in, and other Arabic speaking people from Iran and places like that moved in. Okay? Surrey vacancy rate has been dropping rapidly since 2012 and is now lower than the regional average of 1.0%. And that was 2018. And now we've got certified gang stalkers building cases to evict vulnerable families so they can break up a single family unit, because this is what this is. I rented it as a whole house with a whole family. A whole single family. Right? So that's why it's hard for them to kick out my son, because he's still kind of registered as a dependent. That's why they're going for me. Because if they can get rid of me, c'est la vie, son. And then they'll just split the house out into two, $2,500 up, $2,500 down, and instead of getting $2,250, they'll get $5,000. And the people who help them to make that happen, through city bylaw officers and everything, well, that's when they'll get their kickbacks and their little bribes will be paid. Maybe they'll get a bonus on their paycheck, right? Maybe they'll get a Rolex. Who fucking knows? But they're getting something, okay? Yeah. It's too choreographed what they do. I just showed you a video where they were saying don't park the car out in the front in 2020 of March. To which, what was that, March 18th of 2020? I'm all freaked out about ShaMay and court and all that crap. Ciera was in jail. They didn't release her. They had her in solitary, people. They kept her longer in jail than she was supposed to be legally there. And then they released her on March 24th of 2020. And by the 28th of March 2020, 4 days after they released her, 10 days after the video that you just seen with my last video, my daughter was in a snuff movie with the cops participating in it, with a fake robotoid that has been exposed through exposure through my videos, falsifying her death certificate to say that she did it to herself. As we've got the body dude guy, right, walking out of the door, looking into his cell phone, as the cop is saying, did you get the stuff? Well, he wasn't walking out with no body, so no, clearly he didn't get the stuff. And if he did get the stuff, it was on the cell phone. And that's why I say she was in a snuff movie. That's the city of Surrey for you. Okay? So 10 days before my daughter was murdered, Ciera Chorney, I had the city of Surrey come to my house and start up with their antics and put me back to work in the yard. Because my landlord failed to do her share. In other words, she failed to do her job in terms of yard maintenance and that kind of crap. And they had to build a case for me because they knew what they were going to be doing with the housing market. So remember I told you have to be Inspector Gadget and you got to go looking for clues? Well, that's kind of what I'm doing here. Secondary suites are the important part. That's what they want. They want downstairs to be a secondary suite to upstairs where it's two separate households where they can charge a maximum $1 versus one price from the good old days to a whole family. And that's why they started picking off my fucking family. One here, one there. One died over here. Another one died over there. One over disappeared and then died over there. Another one was kidnapped and taken over there and wasn't given back until you right? Secondary suites are an important part of Surrey rental stock. The majority of Surrey's rental stock is secondary suites, at least 66%. Secondary suites generally provide lower rents than other rental stock. And but this was written in 2018, so of course it would be, right? But not anymore. And are an important, that's not anymore, because they were flushing out all the people out onto the streets. They started flushing everybody out onto the streets so that they could raise their basement suites. So now they're charging $2,200 to $2,500 for a fucking basement suite. If they can get $28,000 for the upper, $3,000 for the upper, they'll get that too. They'll get whatever they can get, knowing that they're going to kick them out after they're done fucking using their tenants, and they're going to tear down the house and make it so that none of those tenants, doesn't matter how many years ago they were renting the house, chances are they'll be dead and long gone. Or if it was just recent tenants who paid, they're going to get kicked out too. And if they can't afford to go rent some new fucking condo, they're going to be in my position. Yeah. However, security, where was I? Rental stock is secondary suites, at least 66%. Secondary suites generally provide, lower rents than other rental stock and are important source of rental units in Surrey. However, security of tenure can be a challenge for secondary suites, as house owners may choose to discontinue renting. As well, secondary suites may also be less appropriate for some populations. The city's stock of purpose-built market rental is small, but they keep bringing in immigrants. If the rental market is small, why do they bring in tens of thousands of immigrants within a very short period of time, year after year? There are approximately 5,700 units of purpose-built rental in Surrey, apartments and townhouses. Now, these apartments that they're talking about in 2018 are now slated, 400 of them at least, apartments. We're not talking the number of suites in those apartments. We're just talking about apartments. 400 of them have been slated to be torn down, with each and every person living in those suites evicted. The majority of these are low-rise apartments, Gateway Place, 4-story walk-up, built in the 1970s, Gateway Place. These are the ones that they're targeting right now. This is what I need to phone Acorn about, because if my landlords kick me out, that's where I'm going to end up, in a place like that, paying $3,000 a month for fucking cockroaches, bed bugs, mice, with the axe coming down as the city's going to kick me out again, because they've got the building slated to be tore down to build another luxury condo for the next wave of immigrants coming in with their subsidies. Or perhaps the rich immigrant that wants to invest into a suite. Or how about the rich who just wants to buy the whole fucking building and keep it as a ghost building to launder money. Okay? 400, last time I read on the internet, quoted by Acorn. That's what the city is going after, and they're going to evict thousands of people, innocent women, children, teenagers, elderly, men, disabled people, out onto the streets. Because they're not building housing for them, people. Hell no. All right, let's continue. This represents 14% of Surrey's rental stock. Much lower than the Metro Vancouver, where purpose-built market rental represents approximately 1/3 of the total rental stock. Most of the city's purpose-built units can be found in Wally, where I lived at Gateway Place, where Elizabeth Towers, Regency, Elizabeth, the building that they tore down, that the people were rallying at City Hall 4 months ago with Acorn. They kicked them all out, people. Every last one of them. Because they're in Wally and Guildford. Oh, I used to do park events. They put me at Holly Park, right in the middle of all the poorest of the poor, right along with the runs in Wally area, right? That whole area up by Holly Park is nothing but poor families. And they're slated to be tore down. With those people having no place to go. Like it's sickening. Prior to 2016, the city had not seen any new purpose-built market rental. Well, we've got these condos for $3,500, $4,000 for a 2-bedroom, 8 stories up, with a playground on the roof, with other people's toys as play equipment. Don't be surprised if my play equipment isn't up in one of those buildings. I'm just saying. Rental development since the 1990s. 2 new purpose-built market rental buildings have opened since 2016. At the end of 2018, these were approximately 1,100 market rental units under construction or in development. All right, so this is when the building boom started, I guess. In 2018, it was either under construction or it was in the developmental stage for the purpose to rent. But as these people are being kicked out of their apartments with the old rent, kind of like what my landlord's trying to do, kick me out with the old rent so that she can bring in the new tenant and get the new rent at triple the cost, more than double the cost in terms of, right? Why come and pick up $2,200 in cash when you can come pick up $5,000 in cash? Right? If you're a greedy fucking landlord, which one would you choose? All right? Well, it's the same thing with these apartments. These people are paying, in the old price, $1,200 a month. But if I was to move into the same apartment, my rent would be $2,800, where my neighbor would be $1,200. So they can't have that going on too long, because then the tenants will start to fight with each other. Because why am I paying $2,800, but my neighbor over here is paying $1,200? Well, they're paying $1,200 because they moved in 2008. You moved in 2025, so that's why you pay $2,700, and because they moved in 2008, they pay $1,200. But it's going to cause a lot of trouble when you're dealing with impoverished people, because there's already a high level of mental health issues and that kind of shit. Because I know I lived in those buildings. That's what I did, people. I worked with the families in high stress fucking poverty. Okay? So they have to tear it all down. Throw everybody out so everybody becomes equal. Only thing is, we're not being treated as equal because there is no more affordable housing, and a lot of those people are not going to be able to afford anything, never mind find anything, because whatever they're building right now is way off the fucking mark. That's the part they're not telling you about. So the housing corruption, in terms of the building and the property development, I guess you can say started in 2018. Remember I said you have to be, and I need to get a magnifying glass, you have to be a little bit of an Inspector Gadget to kind of figure it out, right? You know what I'm saying? And if I was to put my finger on it, in terms of when did it really start with the fucking property developers, I'd say that right there is the number one key point. Based on what this little, so honestly, you see, this is why, you know how many pages this is? 62 freaking pages. I need to print it out. So I'm looking at money now, Mrs. Gill, to go buy ink and paper. So I can print it out and then highlight it. So it will be easy to find with my blind eyes. So I can reference it down. I can reference it down wherever I decide to take this shit. Okay? Because I got many cards to play here with a few hands, and I just don't know which hand is the best, and I might play more than one fucking hand here. Because as it is, you don't give me no choices. Okay? These people don't give me no choices. Hell, they don't even give me a coffin. They give me the streets. That's what they give me. That is something to work with, what I just read. So, I think I can download this. Right now, I'm just downloading it.
Downloading what?
City crap.
More groceries?
No, I'm not hungry. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly why they're tearing down 400 apartment blocks. Because they've corrupted it so much with their greed that they can't have old tenants paying $1,200 a month because they're stuck in the past like me, when the tenants like me get kicked out of our houses and then end up in these apartments paying $2,800 for the same, like I said, bug-infested cockroach, fucking bed bug, cupboard bugs, mice-infested building that I had, same fucking apartment that I had in 2008. I left in 2009. I bounced into a fourplex that practically killed me as the landlord was running a fucking grow-op, right? Driving their Hummer up late at night, slanging heroin. And then I had to leave that place and I bounced here, and look what's been happening ever since. And now they just want to toss my family, what's left of it, out onto the streets and expect me just to say, yes, master.
Coming.
I don't want to eat. I'm not hungry. I'm sick.
I know. I was just making me some food, but I'll go.
Yeah, that's fine. Anyway, I just wanted to point this out. So I'm going to upload this because now we're way past what I was going to talk about. Okay, so you can see what I'm doing. I'm on the hunt for little tidbits to figure out what I should do. I don't know what else to do, people. Let's just read a little more and then we'll end it. Okay, now we know why they're tearing down all the apartment buildings. They have to level the playing field.
Heads up now, just put on the burner, okay?
Make sure there are no paper towels or nothing near it.
There is not. Well, you know it's off, though.
They have to level the playing field. They have to close the gap between the disparity of those who pay $1,200 because they're tenants that have been there for 20 years compared to new tenants being displaced from their housing like me and forced into emergency housing where we're now paying $2,800 for something that we paid $800 for in 2009. And the hike didn't happen until, what was it, 2016 or was it 2018? In terms of tripling the rent. You see, that's where I need the hard copy, because I have to take notes, right? Manufactured poverty at its best. And this is what they're targeting. Many rental households are families with children. This is what they're targeting. Also the elderly and the disabled. Households with children comprise at least 38% of renter households in Surrey. 2016. These households require family-size units. More rental housing is needed. Okay, but they're not building affordable housing because they're not catering to Surrey residents. They're trafficking Surrey residents below a certain income level under a caste system when they're not harvesting them. And obviously exploiting them to the full max. So, I'm really not in the mood to be printing this stuff out and start spending hundreds and hundreds of stupid dollars as I'm giving my landlord hundreds and hundreds of dollars to throw out my belongings so that I have nothing to work with to repair anything, so she can come back to me and say, look, that's broken, you didn't fucking fix it. Now you're out. The city came and complained because you didn't fix it, even though she was the one who told my son to throw it out. And she keeps coming back and pointing at things and telling him to throw it out, throw it out, throw it out. With the city saying anything weather worn, throw it out. And then they're going to come back in a year or two and say, well, you didn't fix that. I'll be, yeah, but you took my wood. You took everything from me. How was I supposed to fix it? I didn't have any money. I'm still paying for that fucking bin that you rolled out of here with 2,000 pounds of frozen water in it, and you're making me pay for it. There's my materials. Go get me my materials and I'll fix the fucking thing that you want me to fix. That's why I'm going to phone the Landlords and Tenancy Act branch, and I'm going to ask them, how do I protect myself from this? That's why I'm going to phone Acorn and ask them, have you ever heard of anything like this happen to any other person out there in this fucking rotten, stupid country called Canada? Yeah. And if so, what do they do to protect themselves from this? You can't expect me to do shit if you take all my shit away from me and then tell me I'm not allowed in the fucking yard. But if things go wrong in the yard, I'm the one that's gonna get the axe and, as you plot and scheme to kick my son out. The only way you can fucking kick my son out is by kicking me out. Unless I ask you to kick out my son. He's not perfect, but he sure in hell isn't like a freaking scoundrel, that's for sure. But I'm dealing with scoundrels. Clearly.